Good day, and you're welcome to this lecture. So, if you want to learn how to analyze films, literary text without, practically turning your project into a summary of story, then this is the video for you. This is a practical guide for academic research purpose. All right. So let's begin by exploring what we really mean to do here. Well, the first principle is for us to understand that theories are lenses. Yes, understand the fact that theories are lenses. Theories are lenses through which you view um, your work, you view your project, you view your research, you interpret your data, you understand your data. So see theories as lenses. So when you see theories as lenses, this helps you position your art in certain ways that will make you engage your data, make sense of your data, and then work effectively with your data. So theory sort of limits what you observe. It's put it within a particular scope, and by so doing, it helps you focus on what you need to focus on. And then you move on from there to make a reasonable deduction within the boundaries of that theory. And that, to me, is a good research to be acceptable based on the fact that there is a theory that has been established, that has been accepted, that has been published, it has been tested, um, within which you're researching. So think about this. It guides what you discuss. No, you're just talking about a movie, a text, randomly without structure does not help you navigate yourself towards meaning. So when you use theory, you have a framework, you have some set of indices, indicators that you check your data against to ensure on whether or not it complies, if the theory explains it, how it explains it, the result, and more. So theories practically guide the result. When you engage theory with whatever you know about your text, or about you know about film, or whatsoever content that it is, it helps you understand them within the context of the theory. Now it helps you filter what is relevant. The same way it filters out what is irrelevant. So when you use theory, you have standard principles, some standard information that you use to guide your interpretation, that you use to engage your data. And this is what helps you to filter in or filter out whatever you decide to do. All right, we move on to the fact that it helps you prevent unnecessary narration. When you start using theories as lens, it helps you prevent unnecessary narration. You can fall for the temptation of discussing or talking things out of your head and more. But if you work within a particular framework, it reduces the chances of narrating some things without any particular implication for your research. And the last thing is that it also helps you interrogate the film through the lens that you describe, through the lens of your theory. And it doesn't help you, it doesn't, sort of help you not to just describe. You want to, when you want to do a research, you want to do it within a particular framework. And you doing it within a particular framework means you're checking it against the standard. So the goal here is for you to interrogate the film through the theory and not to describe. Okay. Um, Moving on to the next thing I want to consider, which are the common mistakes that students make. Common mistakes that researchers make. These common mistakes make your project worth less instead of it working more. So plot narration versus analysis. Now, these are two different things. When you are narrating plots, it's different from when you're actually analyzing your data. So you want to avoid just narrating the story, but engaging in analyzing, making sense of it, and connecting it back to the theory, which is the goal of your research. So, the most important thing there that you should think about is the fact that You don't want to tell the story the way it is in simple terms. You want to look at the data, understand the data, make meaning out of the data in connection with your work, your theory. So this is good. Now, an example of this, of a narration is this. In the character enters the house. This is narration. You want to avoid this. So what you want to do is to engage it. He said this saying demonstrates patriarchal dominance. Now, if your theory is about patriarchal dominance, then it's sort of helping you to connect your work with the theory. You see that? You're in this scene, the character enters the house. That is mere narration. But theoretical interpretation help you make sense here of your data using the theory. Now, what are the key differences? The key difference is that one is retelling the story and the other is analyzing the story. Now, the first one is the fact that the first example here, example of narration, it's just narrating the story, no meaning added. But the second one, there is meaning added. So your research has to be able to add some meaning, add some information, and add some. I hope this helps you to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, let's convert this theory into analytical theory. Analytical question, sorry, pardon. So then, turning theory into guiding questions are very important steps. And you want to do this, you want to do it carefully. Now, the first thing you want to do is to think about it this way. We'll give an example of feminist theory. And in feminist theory, you sort of ask yourself questions about feminine gender. What are what are the most important things that are connected to this theory? How are women represented? Who holds power? Do women have agency? Does the narrative reinforce or challenge patriarchy? No, patriarchy is the dominance of male and then them controlling what happens. But the feminist theory, for example, raises concerns that are connected to this. So you want to ask questions that are connected to this. And the questions are one, in this particular film, how are women represented? Or who holds power? Is it the male? And then if the women hold power, do women have agency? Do they have platforms through which they can express themselves? Or does the narrative just reinforces or challenge Africa? Does it reinforce patriarchal structure or does it challenge patriarchal structure? Think about this. This is how to combat theory into practice. Now, take a look at this. From scene, you look at the scene, you will see the evidence and then the theory method. For example, identify, extract, apply, and link back to the film. Now, I'm going to explain this in details. First, you want to be able to identify the theme. When you have identified the theme, you extract the evidence from the theme. After you have done this, you apply the theory that you're using to the theme. And the fourth one is to link it back to the question. You link it back to the question. Let's think about it this way. You have seen a movie, you can tell the story, which is normal, but now you want to do research. You have to decide on a theory that you will use. When you've decided on the theory, and then you can go back to the scene, extract the evidence that you have there, then you apply the theory to it. Then, based on your research question, you link it back to your research question. How this helps you. Okay, example of the method. You give a brief description of the scene mentioned, you specify the evidence itself. Then you theoretically connect it, interpret it, and then you link it back together. You link it back. Describe it, specify the evidence. Was there someone sitting on the throne and then the woman sitting on the floor? or the king sitting on the throne and then the woman sitting on a smaller chair. How were the communication like? All of those things. Those are evidences. And then theoretical interpretation really matters too. Then you link it back to your question. Okay. Once again, brief mention, specific evidence, theoretical interpretation, linked back to it. I'm reinforcing this so it sinks in. Don't forget that. Very important. All right. So we'll move on to my next slide. Yeah. You can use code to control your analysis, and using code to control your analysis means that you create a particular sort of system, you record your data, and then you ignore some. Now, what does it mean to create? You create categories based on the theory. You understand the theory, you know the structures, you know the premises, you know the thesis, you know the concept, you understand the framework, and then you have to create category based on the framework. When you have done this, then you can sort of give an example of some of these things so it can guide your interpretation. For example, if you have identified from the theory that is concept of gender power relation, you can then extract that and see if there are evidences of gender power relationship in a movie. Female agency, are there any? Resistance, are there any? So these are things you need to consider. And then you record only the scene that fits into the category so that you can engage the content. And then after that, you want to come back to the point where you sort of ignore the irrelevancy. Very important. If you don't ignore the irrelevant in, you find yourself adding unnecessary content into your research, which you want to. Okay, if you're studying the thing, you're studying the thing. You're not studying the film, you're looking at it. So, film is evidence. Theory is the analytical tool. Research question is the compass. Are you getting it? So, we have got the film, we've got the theory, which is the analytical tool. In fact, the theory powers your research. So, without a good understanding of theory, you are likely not to do excellent. So then research question is your compass because it determines what you'll be putting up. That's the question you're trying to answer. It is your direction. It is your compass. So then you should always ask the question of what does this saying reveal about the thing? Yes, what does this saying reveal about the thing? If you're able to answer this question, it helps you and it goes along. Let's look at some practical writing templates. Now, you introduce. What does it mean to introduce? We know the bit. The second thing is you highlight. Please list this thing up. Take notes with me. And then you interpret. When you interpret and then you link it back. This is similar to the framework I provided earlier. You link, you interpret, you introduce, you highlight, you interpret, then you link. Backward is linking, interpreting, highlighting, and introduce. Don't forget to introduce, to highlight, interpret, and then link. Now, introduce the scene briefly, like I've earlier mentioned, highlights the actions and the dialogue, interpret the theory, and link the research objective of research back to your discussion. And when you have done this, you've done excellently. The theory test, what does it look like? Ask, if I remove the theory, does this paragraph still make sense? If yes, that is the narration. If you remove the theory and the paragraph still makes sense, if your answer is no, then it's analysis. So when we disconnect the theory from it, if it still makes sense, it is narration. If you disconnect the theory and if it doesn't make sense, that's so the sort of it's like what do I call it now? It helps you sort of make sense of what you're doing. So if you watch the video up to this point, got a platform where I am analyzing of this idea, which is powering what we are actually doing. So you want to go to Arowolo.com or just type in the name on Google and then you can find the website. Do well to engage with some of the content. I have some very useful content there for you. And if you watched to this stage and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, engage, and let us stay connected. Cheers and have a beautiful day. Bye.